gotta leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Gandhi, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been golden when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Call her Era Lord. Call me Levi, playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like the Brown James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. The feels not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum entities. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a
boy.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in shoes. Yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, mighty, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. Had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. Had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the ride with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below. Then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on today's space. We would greatly appreciate it. Warms up the algo, lets everyone know we're here. You'll also find the link to the X video feed. We got the abstract chat and the YouTube chat popping off this morning as well. GM to all of our YouTube GMers. We got Von Frunten over there calling for the Spice Rack, RDL, as well as our guy Crypto Pain. Appreciate all of you, as well as our abstractors. As always, the abstract chat leads the charge this morning for the GMers. Appreciate each and every one of you. I'm in like Nerf City this week on X. X hates me. I'm lucky if I get like 100 eyeballs on any post. Gonna have to change something in my posting cadence or how I'm posting things, because I'm like for the week on getting every post nerf. So went out last night about New York pizza. I thought that would get some people fired up, but I did that because I kid you not, I sent that right after I had a 10-minute conversation with a business broker. Following yesterday's show, I went down the journey of buying a local pizzeria. So here we are, and we might Calzones with Cap may not be too far off in the distant future. But as always, I'm Cap. Today, joined by a special co-host, Riggs. I think we're also going to have Legendary pop in here in a little bit this morning. Our guy, Steve, may be back with us next week, if not certainly the following week. And missing him, but he's out there with us in spirit in the audience. All that said, never any financial advice on the show. Crypto is risky, NFTs are risky, meme coins exception risky to 0 to moment's notice. Please don't put any money you can't afford to lose, and know that Riggs and I might hold tokens we'll talk about here this morning on the show. So we're not financial advisors, certainly not yours. Just join us for some fun, some information, maybe a little spice along the way. GM Riggs, how you doing, sir?
What is good, man? You were just fucking going right there. It was like, goodness gracious, that was
you know
a
what?
lot
I got this yesterday too, and I think what it is, normally I do pre-workout at home and I just do like powder. I'm not even like brand loyal. I'll switch through whatever, like a different thing. Well, this week, the last 2 days, I was out of my pre-workout at home. And so I went to the gym and did the gym pre-workout and just got the little bum. But it's got like 300 milligrams of caffeine, which is about 2x what I normally consume. So I think it was a little, my disclaimer has been a little, a little amplified by the bum pre-workout the last couple of days, I'm guessing.
I hear you. All good, man. No, I'm happy to be here. Appreciate the invite. Definitely don't take financial advice from me. I make horrifically bad decisions constantly. Most of my tokens trend to zero and I continue to hold. So yeah, I'm putting that full disclaimer out.
Okay.
Definitely don't take advice from me.
It's okay. We have a real financial advisor on the stage. I kid, but not really. Legendary popped up. Legendary, and certainly no obligations. You're welcome to just go audio only. The StreamYard link, I think, is in the DMs, but my X DMs are down. X has just been junk for me all week. We had trouble getting the spaces started earlier this week. Today, like I can't access DMs at all. I open up my DMs and they're just blank. Is this just a me issue or is DMs for everyone?
No, GM. DMs are down, I think, for most of us. I want to join you on StreamYard, but you need to send me the link on Discord or so, because otherwise I won't be able to access it.
Gotcha. I will I'll go do that now. I don't know if we are Discord friends or not, but I'll find you on there if not. This is like we're back to the random DMs in Discord days. Definitely not that legendary.
It's probably a Telegram.
It's Legendary Web 3 if you wanna request or send a message through, and I'll join in a sec.
Is it all one word?
Yeah.
Ad friend. There we
Live
go.
TV. Fantastic.
I wonder what is going on with X this week. It has been.
They are migrating to their own dedicated DM platform so that it works like just like Telegram or proper DM function, and that's probably causing all the hiccups.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess this is good news then if they get this done sooner than later, because DMs I've been complaining about often. So I guess I will do without DMs for a day or two. I think I just sent that friend request if you want to check. If I assuming I spelled Legendary Web 3 right. If not, let me know. There we go.
There we go.
And there's the StreamYard. We'll get you on video here in a sec and get things rolling. But Riggs, I've got some plant envy this morning. I feel like I need more greenery in my background. Are you a plant guy? Is your wife a plant
this
lady?
is Mrs. Riggs. Yeah, it's one of those where now she's a plant person. Like you'll see back here, we got plants over here. She consistently kills them. She's not here, right? No, she's gone already. She consistently kills them and then continues to buy more plants. And then like
I'm getting some feedback on something. There we go. I think we're good now.
So yeah, so I keep telling her, I'm like, use ChatGPT or do something to like take photos of the pictures of the plants and figure out what you're doing wrong, right? Like, what are you not feeding them? So she started to do it. And this guy right here was almost dead. And she ordered food that she got from ChatGPT told her to get, and it's like back in action.
So this is real alpha. Like I know we had a big AI discussion yesterday. It was an awesome show with Bunchy, by the way. If you missed it, the carousel's pinned up top. You can catch the recordings from there, or if you click through to the DGen profile, there's a link tree there that'll take you to any of the your favorite podcast platform. This is real alpha. Like whether it's plants, like I'm now doing weekly meal dog prep for my dog, and like my recipes it's ChatGPT. Like you might think, oh, it's easy, you could Google that. It's like it makes you so much more efficient just to lean into it and ask for shit like this. Like I kid you not, I do need more plants in my home. I live in Florida, so a lot of them are outside. Right now I have 12 starts propagating from a rubber plant. In the entire process, like ChatGPT coached me through it. Like I don't have a green thumb necessarily, but like the success rate of like all 12 of these actually making it, I think is far greater because I did some things that I wouldn't have done had ChatGPT not told me. And yeah, it is like I know we talked about yesterday. Just get in and play with it, use it, have some fun with it, experiment. It's like things like this, like in your daily, like if you don't have a green thumb, there's no more excuses. Like it literally spend a few minutes, show it a picture of what you're doing, and more often than not, it's going to fix whatever you're doing wrong.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now, here I was just talking to my wife about this. So I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm about to go into my full-blown vanity era. Like I'm about to turn 39. No kids. I'm working my ass off, doing well, right? And fuck it. This is gonna be my midlife crisis.
For you.
So
This is actually a pretty cold opening topic, actually. Because
So
Legendary
I-
did experts
yeah.
of like juice diets and stuff. This is going to be like nutrition and fitness 101 with Riggs, Legendary, and Cap for like 15 minutes this morning.
Fitness and nutrition, maybe not based on my next things I come out and say. Like, I'm gonna go fucking get some hair, get my hair
Ooh.
back.
You going to Turkey?
I'm starting to do Botox. I'm gonna fucking go full-blown vanity era. I don't care. I don't care.
Good for you.
And so I started looking at plastic surgery, right?
Oh wow. What kind of work
yeah.
have you done?
I don't know. I don't know. I was just telling people I might get my eyes like a little bigger. Who knows? Might trim my nose up a little bit. I don't know. I don't know yet. But I'm looking at these plastic surgery websites. How do they not have AI bots on the site that scans your face, recommends what you need, and then shows you an image of what you're going to look like? It would sell me instantly. I probably would have been signing up for freaking consultations.
That's got to be coming soon, I would imagine. So it probably exists. Some of them are already doing it. I imagine it's going to become like table stakes in the near future. Too easy. Right? Yeah.
It's way too easy. So that's yes, I'm down like 22 pounds, been killing it on a diet, all that. But that's not the vanity side. Vanity is definitely buying shit and doing shit to my body that most people would be like, you're a lunatic.
I probably should go the Botox route. I have some pretty gnarly crow's feet, but I'm not really commit to like the every 6 months getting shots in my face. It's not something I would enjoy. I'm not a fan of needles. And so and once you start, like you can't stop, like you got to keep doing it. Otherwise you defeat the purpose. So I've held off on the Botox. I'm probably not like, I don't really care about getting any work done, but full bore, like I turned 45 in a couple months. And so, yeah, I'm on the same vein program as well for no reason other than just because I want to by the time next birthday rolls around. But in all seriousness, are you currently, I know you're doing like the supplement thing. Are you in a juice fast or no? Legendary.
No, so I'm not in a juice fast right now, but I've done some intermittent fasting, and then I am literally portioning my food. And so like I'm doing like 6 ounces of chicken, like 4 ounces of brown rice. Like it's insane. But
sounds like I'll feed my dog.
Yeah, it sucks. It's absolutely horrible. But Legendary, I apologize. You're too smart to be talking about this bullshit. Like we've got you here. You're sitting there. I'm looking at your face, and you're like, God, Riggs.
We do want to talk
on stage forever.
I'm debating whether I go the 48-hour water fast or just go full juice diet. What is your like? Would you recommend the juice diet for someone who's never done it, Legendary? And then I promise we will get into Web3 talk here in a minute. I know everyone tuned in not to hear our health nutrition takes, so we will get into it. We're approaching the exit of the cold open, but I must know because like I seriously am considering either going water fast or juice diet for like a few days. Is it worth it?
Absolutely. So a couple of things on that. I think research has been showing that one of the best things you can do for longevity is to fast, is to basically, even if it's just 48 hours, everything that's longer than 24 hours is good. And what I do is I do now 1 day a week of fasting.
Oh, wow.
I try every couple of months to go for 3-4 days. And then I also do the occasional juice cleanse. The thing I like about the juice cleanse that has helped me personally is coming more from the perspective that sometimes I do have like sweet cravings and like my protein bars and shit is not enough. So whenever I finish a juice cleanse and like I don't have those cravings for a couple of months, and when I feel like I get this like demand to or this need to eat sweet stuff again, I'm just gonna go on a juice cleanse again, and that somehow helps me with like this personal habit of trying to keep my nutrition clean and healthy. And I don't know, I agree with you, Riggs. Like I'm kind of on a similar mission in terms of like the vanity arc. Mine is supplement driven though. So what I did is basically I got ChatGPT. I given ChatGPT all my health data. Like I do monthly blood work, all that stuff. Shared all the problems that I had, like from allergies, etc., with it, and I got it to write up basically a meta research report citing more than 200 studies. What could be a good supplement stack for myself? Now, I am not a professional when it comes to that, but luckily my mother is. She's been a researcher in medicine her entire life. So I was like, yo, here's the report. Here are all the sources. What is your take on that? And together, and the AI was excellent at that, to be honest. We figured out a very good supplement stack that is quite long. There's a ton of stuff in there, like urolithin, NMN, berberin, astaxanthin, and so many more things. A lot for the mitochondria as well. And part of that was like to help with the allergies, but part also to go for the to go down the longevity route, to go mini Brian Johnson to a certain extent. So I love that.
Yeah, and I'm on this longevity kick too. I've thought for a while I want to live into like my 120s, but not just like be some decrepit old man. I want to be healthy. Like I want to be able to enjoy my life as long as possible. And Riggs also, I don't know if you saw Steve's comment in the chat, says the concept of a midlife crisis is all wrong. People just have the time and money to take care of themselves and want to live life to the fullest. You got to do what you got to do to live your best life, King. So,
well, and before you go down your longevity path, I did not see that from Steve, but I don't necessarily agree, because I watched my dad do all this stuff. Like he was getting hair transplants. Sorry, Dad, just going to say this. Way before the whole turkey concept. Like he was like early fucking hair transplant, like looked gnarly when you first got him done. Like, woo. And then he's always gone down this vanity side. And I was like, this is so stupid. Why do you care? Like nobody gives a shit. Like, don't worry about your hair. Don't worry about this. Don't do like, and then I don't know what it was. Something, maybe it's because like on my phone, I still have like a picture of me and Mrs. Riggs when I had hair. And somebody was like, who's that on your phone? And I go, me and my wife. And he goes, oh, I thought it was your wife and some random dude. I go, why would I have that? Well, you don't have hair. And I was like, and then he looks at it, he goes, oh, you looked way better with hair. And I was like, fuck you, number one. Two, I know. And so then I just started like going down the path, and my wife has been getting Botox. Here we go again. She's going to yell at me if she sees this stuff, but she's been getting Botox and other things and whatever. And she always has been like, do you want me to do a mask on you? You got these things. Why don't we do this together? And so now she's like full blown every night doing like my face, you know, whatever it is. In the morning, she wakes me up with the little eye patches underneath. And so it's like, hell yeah, this is awesome.
I will say this, even if you're not into the, whether you want to call it vanity or not, if you're not into the, like the Botox and the getting work done, I do think like in all seriousness, there's like so much information and education to take better care of yourselves, to just live a longer, healthier lives. Like it's silly not to do some of this. Like you don't have to go hardcore to the supplements, like Legendary. And like this is my favorite longevity, and I don't even know if it works, right? Like I studied, this is NMN.
Love it.
Is the powder I take. I don't know if there's like long enough studies to actually prove it, but there's a lot of smart people that I look up to and respect and said this stuff helps. It helps with, you know, so there's a lot of life hacking that I truly don't believe like our parents just didn't know. Like I think about some of the stuff I ate as a kid growing up, and just like awful stuff that I would never let my kids eat today. But I don't blame my parents. They didn't know what they didn't know. And now I don't think that's excusable. We're all of us, if you have access to the internet, you have access to so much information just to live better, healthier lives. And to like Legendary's earlier point, there's studies on this stuff. It's not this, you don't just have to wing it. Like it may not be a guaranteed outcome, but I don't know. I feel like it's borderline inexcusable not to, unless you just don't care.
There's low-hanging fruits like vitamin D. There's no chance, at least from the European perspective, that you get enough vitamin D in Central or Northern Europe. And you need to supplement that. Your body absolutely needs that. I mean, obviously, I'm going a bit crazy with my supplement stack, and that's also admittedly on the more expensive side, and not all of that has the same track record when it comes to research. But you have the low-hanging fruit. You have the vitamin D and stuff that is absolutely essential to have enough in your body.
Yeah, and you mentioned your testing. Like you don't even, like monthly blood work and testing is great. If you're not going to go, at least get an annual physical, get annual tests, get annual work done. And there's so much to preventative healthcare today, but also a lot of this stuff that can go like really gnarly with you. If you catch it early, like you're going to be okay. It's just letting stuff go undiagnosed, untreated is when when lifespans start getting impacted. All that being said, I see Funky jumped up. Before we get too far out of cold open, Funky, did you join up to give us some health supplement knowledge this morning, or did you jump up to get us into Web3 and crypto talk?
No, GM, this conversation was very fascinating considering I am 3 months away from being 50. So, have even more years on you guys.
Wow.
Rick, first and foremost, congratulations for losing 22 pounds, dude. At one point in my life, I was about 100 pounds heavier. It's amazing you're on this health journey. And I'm someone who also does not have kids, and it will continue to get better. Keep going down the path that you're doing. It's amazing.
I can't even picture you with an extra 100 pounds on your frame. Like, congratulations yourself.
I will drop that picture below so you can see it in a second, Cap. But I was going to say, my wife started doing Botox. I'm not going there, just admittedly. But she loved it. She's a PE coach. She's outside. She tries to shade herself from the sun, but it's been 12 years. And, it's almost immediate. Because she just started with a little bit on her face, like for like her, what she calls her frown lines in the center of her forehead and around her, like you said, the crow's feet. It's almost immediate. Within a couple of weeks, like you really do start to see a huge difference. And I just wanted to say to Legendary, I know Steve's only listening today, but you guys got me to finally start one-shotting my pills. So like when I'm doing my supplements, I just put them all in my hand now. I've finally gotten over that fear of choking on pills, and I just throw them all back. But I'm going to get into the gym. I'll drop that pic. I just wanted to jump up here and share those few things. I'm going to listen to the rest of the conversation. It's been fantastic so far. So thanks so much, guys.
No, thank you. Appreciate you jumping up. Diabolito in the abstract chat says, Legendary has calculated the monthly cost of self-care for life and has allocated a certain amount of staked hype to cover that. Like, you're probably not wrong. Crypto Doozy says, Cap, you look like you're in pretty good shape. Fasting for you would make you look too dry. Some dry is good, but from what I see in your facial appearance, you just need a high protein diet, low carb, sort of like keto. That's kind of what I do now. I really do more of a high protein, low carb diet. But one thing, my unlock this morning, in all seriousness, I cut alcohol in 2018. So it's been a little over 7 years. And I did not have a sweet tooth prior to that. After eliminating alcohol from my diet, I developed a sweet tooth. So like, I kid you not, for a while, I was eating like a chocolate bar or a thing of ice cream every night before I went to bed. That's not recommended. That's not healthy. I've now switched it to like this is probably not great, but I'll do like healthy granola, non-sugar granola with whipped cream because there's no sugar in that. Like, I'm trying to eliminate all added sugar from my life. I'm not perfect at it, but I absolutely 100% get like daily sugar cravings. I've never done the juice diet. It's the first time I've ever heard that a juice cleanse could curb those sugar cravings. So that by itself, if it potentially could curb my sugar cravings, it will. It's worth giving the juice cleanse a go. Do you have I think you use like a company, or you just ordered all yours? Like, do you have a recommendation, a link for referral link or anything for like your juice cleanse company of choice?
I don't. Yeah, I use a very small company that's manufacturing that locally and delivers it to my place, but that's certainly not available anywhere else other than in Austria right now.
So I'm not sure how to properly segue from skincare routines and supplements and healthcare into crypto and Web3, but we're gonna hard pivot. Funky, go ahead. I saw your hand fly back up. Maybe you.
Yeah. One last thing, real quick. I forgot to mention. Yes, the fasting thing. Like every 6 months, I do a 72-hour water fast. If you haven't done it, Cap, you actually do it. Be prepared for your muscle mass to get eviscerated. I lost like 6 pounds, probably half of which was muscle mass when you go on it.
Can I start with 48 or do I have to do 72? Can I do like a 24 or 48? Is that going to do anything? Or if I'm going to do it, I may as well do the full 72.
I would say do 48, because like Legendary said, there's different apps you can get that show when your body goes into ketosis, and it does take a while. So like even 24 hours, you're only really starting to get into ketosis for like 6 hours. But if you really want that autophagy to start eating up all the bad shit in your body and like getting rid of, like doing that internal cleansing, it's probably better to do at least 48. I'm just hardcore. So of course I'm like, oh, I got to do 72 hours and just start by getting back in with like bone broth and stuff that's easy to digest, that has some protein when you're coming off the fast. But the other big hack that I was going to say has made a huge difference for me and my performance all around is getting massages. This is the other one I forgot to mention. Like Aaron and I have been going to get monthly couples massages literally for like 14 years. And we go like once a month, we get a 90-minute deep tissue. It's really nice to go do it with your loved one, right? Because like you're having a shared experience together, which is really quite nice. And don't be afraid. This is gonna sound really crazy. Don't be afraid to have like the biggest dude possible to put your hands on you, right? Like I know some guys would be super homophobic and be like, oh, like because you want somebody who can really just jack you up and who can really get deep down into your fascia, into your joints and stuff like that. The guy James that does me, he's like bigger than me. He looks like a football player, and it's just like you want someone who can actually like really work your muscles very hard, because the recovery you get from that, like you'll be super sore the next day. But when I'm bounced back and ready for the gym on Monday, it's just a huge difference in my performance overall. All right, I'm going to get in there and listen to you guys.
Riggs, I think I've been talking about this afternoon show. I think we might have to do Captain Riggs skincare routine in the afternoons. I think the people demand it.
We could do it. I mean, if we do it, we could do it even like early evening, and I could just have Jesse like start coming on and like doing my facial while we're like on live camera. That'd be fantastic.
I love it. Yes, I think Von Frutten's probably right. We rugged Legendary this morning, brought him on to talk about all things crypto and Web3, and we ended up spending the entire show talking about.
I love it because I love talking about that, and I would love to talk about my skincare routine as well, but I typically don't do that much on the time.
Your skin looks fantastic, by the way. Like I was looking at you earlier, like your forehead looks fantastic. I forget how old you are. I feel like you and I are fairly similar ages. I think you're a little younger.
I'll be right back. I got an HVAC guy here. I'm going to hand it to you guys. I apologize. Riggs, you can explain what I got to do. Give me like 30, maybe 90 seconds.
Be gone. But yeah, I was sitting there. I was like, damn, like I got a hat on. So like you can't see my wrinkles up in my forehead. But I was looking at you earlier. I was like, damn, Legendary looks good.
33. I'm 33, but I have to try to keep up with the rest of CT, who all are in their early 20s.
Dude, I was having coffee yesterday with Vedant, Luca, and this one other guy, and I felt like such a geezer. My God, they were all talking about how old they feel, this and that. Everyone, well, they weren't all talking about that, but it kind of got brought up, and I was like, Luca, you're fucking 26. He goes, I know, but I've been running hard. I go, how old's everybody else? And it was all like 25, 26, 26, and I go, I turned 39 in July. I don't want to hear you guys say you feel old. Like I literally am dying most days by the time I'm done working, just for the sheer fact that I'm getting older. Right. But yeah. And they were like, yeah, my metabolism's slowing down. I was like, yours? You're 26 years old, bro. Like just wait. It gets worse. When you crest over 30, it slows down. And then for whatever reason at 35 is when mine really slowed down. And so, but no, it's all good. I mean, and again, Cap's got to let a HVAC guy in and then he'll be back. But did you go to the AVAX summit in London?
No, I did not. I was just got back from traveling. Went to Dubai first, then I spent some time in Spain and was like, I need a bit of a break. Last year, I've been traveling way too much. I've been on more than 30 flights. And this year, now that I'm also in a better routine of just sleep tracking with my Aura Ring, I'm like, the more I'm at home, the better I sleep. So I did try to cut travel times quite significantly.
Yeah, I do not sleep very well when I travel, period. I don't know what it is. I've tried everything, but I totally get that. Yeah, I'm doing very little traveling, especially for Web3 these days. I mean, I think I told you just through DMs a while back, you know, I pivoted back into the traditional world, you know, in commercial real estate, but in New York City. But what's been a lot of fun is actually merging the two worlds. And so I'm doing, as people have seen, most likely New York City is becoming one of the crypto capitals, right? Like ton of people coming in. By the way, selfish plug, everybody. If you know somebody who's looking for office space in New York City, hit me up. I'll give you 10% of the commission as a referral fee. Boom. That's one. But it's just been a lot of fun being able to help these organizations and stay engaged, right, in the space and find different ways to help them grow versus feeling like I'm here to help, you know, work on certain projects with them or certain, you know, strategies, whatever it was, right? I was doing a lot of that work. And so that's kind of been where my focus has been. And we've had Solana accelerate here in the city all week. And it's so interesting to me going to Sol events versus ETH events. The bifurcation of these communities is real, right? Even though there's becoming a little more overlap. I could walk into an ETH event even today after not being like super active and know 30, 40, 50 people. I walk into some of these Sol events and I'm like, I don't know anybody. Shit. But Accelerate's been good, man. The energy's been good up here. It seems like the AVAX thing in London has been good. I think we're coming into conference season, so
yeah. I'm also wondering when we will have hype events and when. I mean, obviously, the tribalism is already forming on the timeline, has existed for quite a while. But I find it hard to want to travel now when the markets are at all-time high and there's like so much going on. I just don't want to leave the house. I feel like timing-wise, it was pretty nice because November to January has been extremely intense with all of the AI meme coin trading that went down. Then we got a bit of a break. We had a couple of months that did go a bit slower, did go a bit more quiet. But now, I want to stay locked in at home.
Yeah, that is one thing I don't miss, honestly. When I chose to make that change, I really sold almost everything that I was going, all my trenches, put it into majors, really mostly Bitcoin, which has been a good decision. And then I don't know. I just don't have the time to like focus on it because I'm not at my computer. I'm not at my house. I mean, I've got a couple mobile things that I can't completely disengage. I'm still a degenerate at heart. And so somebody will text me something, I can buy it. But it's just been one of those things. I'm glad the market is trending upwards. I think it's really strange how this cycle feels. Like Bitcoin is continuing to move upwards. Oh, poor ETH maxis. ETH is just a absolute shit coin. Maybe it gets to all-time high again. I don't freaking know. But yeah, everything seems to be lagging aside from a few things. Hype is just booming, right? And they're printing cash. You've got, I think major meme coins are going to be doing I think they'll do well. Whatever that means, major meme coins. But yeah, the market's just been a little strange and I just am so tired. I was deep in the trenches, dude. When I say deep, I was like trading 30K market cap shitter deep. Like, and so I'm done. I'm tired, man. Like it wore me out. And again, I was older. And then I became an apartment dweller in New York City. I wouldn't leave my apartment for like 4 days. And I was like, what am I doing? But yeah.
I know I missed part of that. I apologize. I'm sure Rig shared. I had to let the HVAC guy in. It's Florida here, so we can't go without HVAC. We're not, the European mind may not understand, but you made me think of a question hearing the two of you talk through. How would you even approach this space if you're not full-time? Like I view like, this is actually great because I think I'm kind of like in the middle of Legendary and Rigs when it comes to how I approach my activity in the space. And where I'm here every day, I know I'm not in the trenches clicking, 5,000. My ledger has far less wear and tear on it than does Legendaries. Whereas Riggs, to his point, is kind of, he's got a career outside of the space now. He's still a DJ and he's still active. But like, how would you even advise someone, let's say it's not Riggs who was in the space previously, but someone who's like my friends, they're getting more interested in Bitcoin. They want to get interested in the space. Like, can you even actively participate in the space, or is it best just to find your majors? Then maybe something like hype comes along. Okay, this is a real business. They've got real revenue. I'm going to make a bet here. Like, is there like, I don't even know a recommended way for someone who's either new or I'm going to put 5 hours a week into crypto. Is that even possible? Either of you have thoughts?
I think you need to make a clear distinction and stay away from a couple of things and get exposure to others. Obviously, the easy thing is just buy Bitcoin, right? Riggs mentioned the cycle feels a bit weird. If you look at the overall ETF volume, Bitcoin spot ETFs reached 100 bill, 30 bill of that is just institutional investors. More than 50% of the top 25 US hedge funds already have Bitcoin exposure, and that's going to increase. And retail is not even buying BTC to that extent. Yet it's a lot of institutional action coming in. So joining that train is probably the easy option. If you say you want to spend like 5 hours a week, so an hour a day, the thing I would definitely stay away from is meme coins. I feel like the most dangerous thing with meme coins is to have like partial exposure to. You either don't touch them at all or you spend a lot of time on that. If you want to trade the daily runners, the stuff on abstract, the more exotic stuff, if you have a long-term thesis and think, I don't know, hot air rises and you want to buy your fart coin or your Pepe or whatever, that can work. And then the other thing is, it's all a question of what you use to onboard. So Hype is difficult. Hype is not as easy to buy if you're new to crypto, right? You need to get ETH, you need to have your wallet, you need to learn with the bridges, you need to deposit via Arbitrum. I mean, frankly, now you can use Hyperunit and deposit straight from ETH mainnet so that it's easier. But a friend of mine, for example, who's been holding ETH, BTC, Sol for years, but's never done anything actively in crypto, his gateway to be more active was Infinix because it was just so easy to trade and he could do it on his phone. So it's definitely about the ease of access. And I feel like the more things you need to go through and do on either the ETH-EVM side of things, or even if it's Solana DeFi, to get exposure to lending, DeFi protocols, whatever you want to do, the more difficult it becomes. But it's all a question of, in my opinion, the app where you start things from. And now that entering Hype has become easier, and if you really want to do it, you have ETH on a centralized exchange, you send it to your wallet, you deposit into Hype, and from that moment on, you can like move around pretty ledgerless as long as you stay locked in that ecosystem. I feel like that's not the worst way to go about things.
Yeah, I mean, I would also recommend staying off socials to people initially. And I say that for a few reasons. One, I've watched several people that I know have come into the space, quickly tried to jump into socials, which created some FOMO associated with certain things, and they made certain bad decisions based on that. So having that, it's easy to say stay away from meme coins until all of a sudden you see timelines posting fake P&Ls of people, and you don't know what's fake or not, right? And all of a sudden you see someone making 7 figures off a meme coin, and now you're like, okay, I'm going to chase these things. And so I think Twitter, crypto Twitter is a real big cesspool and more dangerous for true beginners. Now you want to start coming into it later. It's not what it was when we first started, Cap. And I see your face. It was different.
You're right. I agree. It's very different. And I probably agree. Like, I wouldn't want think about my inner life friends in my head right now. I was like, yeah, I'm not interested. I'm not bringing them into crypto Twitter right now. But I believe the reason that the three of us are here today and many others are because of crypto Twitter. And that's why, I think this is part of the magic. It's not just the in real life, it's the connections, the relationships you make, and I have fun here. I like the people here. I think now there is a lot of scammers and grifters and fake shit on the timeline, but I also I don't know if it wasn't for this, if I'd be nearly as excited about the space as I am. But you bring up a good point. Like when we came on, it was things like Top Shot and Zed and things that were, it felt like a much more natural onboarding, I guess. And I still think there's going to be this wave, this cycle where we're going to, have a mass onboarding of not just people buying Bitcoin or buying tokens, but actually getting active in the space. I don't know what it's going to be, though. For a while, I thought it was going to be the AI agent craze. Maybe that still happens. I don't know. I was beating the drum. AI agents are going to be to 2025 what NFTs were to 2021. We're now almost 5 months through the year, and that's definitely not looking like it's going to have the same impact. I also, at the same time, you see Doodles leaning into it. DreamNet, by the way, that's news we'll get on here in a minute. They're going to launch that on Solana now instead of Base. Other side is there's going to be some sort of XP in there. I think that's going to have to do with agents. I just don't know as if any of those things are going to be onboarding mechanisms. I'm starting to think it's much more likely now it becomes something like whatever the next evolution of the launch pads are, not launch coin. I know we've been talking about this. I think some in the war room, but it's like, I think there's a opportunity in the marketplace where there's going to be the next evolution, the next iteration, like Kickstarter on chain, like a better version of Kickstarter. I realize it's challenging with regulations and laws and legalities today, but like yesterday we were talking about like tokenizing real estate on chain. If I buy a pizza shop, I'm not doing it myself. I mean, I could probably take it down with like individually and not need any partners, but I don't want to do it that way.
I mean, it's already happening, right? I mean, take 111 West 26th Street. It's a building in New York City. It's being sold for Bitcoin right now. And it's been it's going to have an ordinal attached to it, and so it's already happening.
Who's doing it? What's the like? Other than just like accepting Bitcoin as a form of like, I will accept Bitcoin as payment. What are they? What's the order?
You have certain organizations, especially in the city right now, that are beginning to even accept lease their rent payment in Bitcoin. You're going to continue to see that transpire. You're seeing already with Fidelity, JPMorgan now. They haven't come out, but there's some information that will be coming out soon. The moment they start developing their own stable coins and infrastructure, they're going to have to get around that because merchant fees are absolutely that's their business. That's where they're making so much money. But the reality, people are getting frustrated, and once people see that they can get around that with stable coins, the banks are going to transpire. So on-chain activity is going to continue to transpire, continue to move, and that's where we will see, I think, a mass onboarding, especially into Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is one of those safer routes. I just don't know if we ever see a mass onboarding into the degen streets. Like, I think there's just a lot of people that are already here that have either gotten beat up, or they're tired, or they're running low on funds, and it's just turned into a different type of a game. And so I think the people that are here today, I'm not saying we won't grow, not saying that, but I just don't think the space that we talk about on this show in particular is going to grow that much, when in reality, you got teams like Say. No one ever talks about Say. Say's doing some things. Oh shoot, I got taken off stage, I guess. Say's doing some things right now with trying to acquire 23andMe. They've got an entire division called DeSci, right? DeFi Science. And so trying to actually bring data, which, by the way, is what blockchain really is powerful with, right? And so we're going to see more of these major organizations begin to leverage blockchain. And I think the moment we can start to see a true delineation between crypto and blockchain, between crypto and stable coins, those two things, we need separation from a branding standpoint. That happens, all of a sudden you're going to see a big influx of people on chain, which then on chain, they start developing fees. They start developing this. Can they grab some loyalty? Can all of a sudden somebody reward them with something? And you might be able to see a flywheel transpire of people actually understanding the benefits of being here. But it's going to take some time, and it's going to take some majors, and it's going to take some unsexy shit in order to get there.
I think you're right. And I mean, maybe the degens are here. The degens that are like interested in this sort of hyper speculation, hyper financialized, maybe the next major wave is not people coming into the trenches and gambling and flipping and trading and experimenting in DeFi. It's rather the boring stuff like stable coins. I just put up here on the screen, just yesterday it was announced that JPMorgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, and Wells Fargo are exploring to issue a joint stable coin. I don't, like, I'm curious, like, we'll go to Legendary first and then Riggs. Like, thoughts on that? Like, I still am surprised. I don't quite understand why there's this allegedly a bidding war over Circle right now. From appears the main suitors are Coinbase and Ripple, talking like, I don't know, somewhere between $8-10 billion. I don't understand why they don't just launch their own. I don't understand why these banks wouldn't just launch their own stable. Like, what is it?
Well, Fidelity is launching their own stablecoin.
So what are your thoughts here? Why do these four need to team up to have a joint stablecoin? What's the benefit of that? And I know this maybe is the most exciting stuff. We can't speculate on this, but I do think it's on-chain transactions probably is the leading utility of blockchain tech today, and the easiest way to integrate it into, like, to solve real world problems at scale. Any thoughts on this joint stablecoin? Is this, and maybe this doesn't come to fruition, they're just exploring it, but I struggle to find out like a why behind it. Like what's the benefit of them partnering to launch their a joint stablecoin?
They are not the only consortium currently working on that. I am talking to a consortium of banks in Europe who are going down a similar path. Let's put it like that. And I think it makes sense because ultimately you don't want to end up in a position where you have a stablecoin that's only supported by your bank, and then you have a business partner who is banked with another bank, and that stablecoin is not compatible with yours. And obviously it's intriguing to have your own thing as opposed to go with Circle or others, because then you can design it a bit differently. Then might be interesting from a legal standpoint when it comes to the laws that you have to be compliant with when it comes to blacklisting addresses, the control that you can exert over your own stablecoin. And then if you're just big enough of a critical mass, and that is definitely the case with that JPMorgan, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, etc. consortium, you will almost force smaller banks to join that consortium and to use your own stablecoin, where you can also stay in control of the fees that you generate by that. So, and not everyone can buy Circle, and there's like not enough big stablecoin providers or issuers to be bought up, and some of the smaller ones have already been bought up. We've seen a lot of those M&A transactions happen, especially this year. So if you are at the size that Citigroup, Bank of America, JPMorgan, Wells Fargo are at, and you decide to try to collaborate on that, you will have a pretty dominant stablecoin that you can force down other banks' throats and make them use that.
Yeah, I was going to say two reasons from my thought process: control, which is what Legendary just alluded to, and risk. By teaming up into this new tech, which is a risky tech, you now have collective group that can know if something goes wrong with your stable coin versus the collective coin, they'll leverage that against you to impact your core business. And so there's risk associated with going solo, and you better be ready to do it. Versus going in with a collective, it mitigates the risk moving into a risky quote unquote technology, while also providing you that control and the ability to manipulate the smaller banks. Muted.
Not coming through.
Live TV.
Check.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a morning. No, I was saying, I guess it makes sense. I don't know. Actually, Joe flew up with a hand. Joe, feel free to get in here.
You cut out there, but you guys hear me?
Yeah, well, I think I think it's all live now.
Cool.
GM. Thanks for
okay. So I don't disagree with Legendary's strategy. I think the thing that gets left out, and I know that he's coming from the EU side of the equation, but I think the thing to understand is if there's a couple interesting points here, and because we're dealing with blockchain. So why do you buy Circle? You buy Circle because all of this stuff that you guys are talking about, it's not just launching smart contracts. There is methods that have been patented. And even if it's just a US patent, because it's blockchain, if any of the transactions touch a validator in the US, then it's covered by a US patent. So that's the first thing. You don't need to deal with what was previously global patents. You still do that, but it is covered. Secondly, fintech or banks used to basically utilize strategy, trade secrets, go buy the best quant. That was how they went against each other. Now they're starting to sue each other for patent infringement. USAA took $300 million out of Wells Fargo for their mobile deposit system, because Wells Fargo's mobile deposit system was infringing on what USAA had developed and patented. The banks are going to start to rush, or the fintech is going to start to rush to buy patents. JPMorgan spends $1.1 billion a year on external services because they don't own those patents. So that's what you're going to see, and that's the reason why you start seeing companies like Circle, Fireblocks, maybe even a company I'm on the board of, get purchased because we all went out and did the patents. And before anybody, debates about patents, Uniswap, Hayden's over there talking shit because Bancor's suing them for their market maker. Uniswap has like 900 patents. They're not innocent in this game. So that's why you start to see things get acquired.
Expand on that. Why is Bancor suing Uniswap?
Because Bancor invented the CPAM market maker. They patented that, and Uniswap's been using it to run their system for the last 8 years and has turned down every attempt and invite to work on a licensing deal. So Bancor, the B Protocol Foundation, filed a lawsuit in the Southern District of New York earlier this week for patent infringement. I don't know why they chose the Southern District of New York. You guys will see most of these things happen in Eastern District, Texas, but that's what's happening. And these things happen a lot. And some of them get upheld. A lot of them do. A couple of them don't. But yeah.
This seems like a pretty big deal. And one thing that you said there, kind of in passing, I would like to circle back to, if you don't mind. It's the first time I've heard or thought of the idea of patents. Like, so you said if a single validator, if the transaction touches a validator based in the US, then US patent laws apply. Did I catch that correctly?
Yeah. So because old tech, you could be geographical and you were doing stuff with physical, right? So China could knock off the iPhone, and Apple could go to China and try to sue them, but a Chinese court's not going to hold that up if Huawei knocked off the iPhone, or if Huawei knocked off Qualcomm Snapdragon or something. But we're talking about code, and we're talking about blockchains, and validators are all across the world. So the process of the software and the smart contract and the way that those two things integrate with the methodology, because there's two kinds of ways that a patent can be infringed. You can just outright take the exact patent. And in this case, it would be the phone, the code, or you can use the methodology that gets you from A to B. Okay. If that's happening and then it's being validated, it's running through basically any machines in the US, you are now subject, just like any crime in the world, any financial crime in the world that includes a US dollar bill in it, US has jurisdiction. That's part of their financial crimes laws. We do that so that we can be involved in everything, right? If I'm in South Africa buying, I don't know, something with $100 bills that I shouldn't, I have now become subject, and the bank processes that, US can step in. So same shit with what happens with these patents on blockchain.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, so and I'm came up because I've had a conversation with Bunch yesterday about this, and I mean, we just got our patent, our first one of a series, awarded a couple weeks ago. Really qualified patent attorney did that for us. For us, this took 2.5 years. And we were lucky because we got through the first time. Some of these things will go on for another year, a year and a half. So it's just good to look at the market and to understand that a company like Coinbase, the day that we got ours published, had about 6 published. That means that at the same time we were doing ours, they were doing theirs, and a whole bunch of other ones have been published. And you're going to see a lot more of this happening. And you're going to see companies start to acquire each other simply because what that company owns for the next 20 years.
I would say play this
is
out.
extremely valuable.
Play this out. If everything, like in the example where everything gets tokenized, everything comes on chain, we got stock exchanges on chain, we got stablecoin usage explodes. I mean, is this theoretically, is this not, I mean, indirectly, I guess, is it then effectively taking US patent law and making it global? Am I tracking or no? Like once, if assuming everything goes on chain, if there's validators in the US, then effectively US patent law would apply globally, or is that, this is kind of first time I've had this thought, and I'm not sure.
We lost him. We
lost Joe. Joe, if you're able to get back up, great. If not, no worries. This is just,
don't ask me that question. I won't answer it correctly.
We'll see if Joe can get back up. Curious Ledger, if you have any thoughts on this, or we do. Oh, there's Joe's back up. So Joe, I don't like. Am I tracking correctly then? If let's say in the scenario everything goes on chain.
Well, it sort of is like that already, though, Cap. If you think about it, the majority of any company on Earth is going to try, if they're serious about their market, they're going to try to get a patent in the U.S. No matter where they've created the thing, you're filing a U.S. patent anyways, because the majority of the money is in the U.S. So while we don't have the population the size of China or India, we have the money, right? So you used to get yourself a U.S. patent, then you would get yourself a European. There's a one of the trade deals. There's a global a world patent sort of that you can file for, but that costs like $80,000 plus the maintenance fees on that are a lot higher. But most tech companies are already in traditional tech are already trying to get U.S. patents or filing in the U.S. by default, because the majority of their customers are going to be in the U.S. The majority of the money that they make is going to be in the U.S. Even if it's just 30% of the money, the rest of that 70% isn't spread across 2 other countries, right? It's divided up across the world. So you are already being subjected to U.S. patent laws. Now it's just the case that because of how blockchain works, and because as long as we're doing validations here and we're running, the nodes, you're going to be subjected to that. Now that's a good and a bad thing. So, that's the war that's going to happen. It's going to happen in fintech, and you're going to see a bunch of companies that you don't really have ever heard of, and you're going to wonder, like, why the hell is this getting bought? And it's getting bought because they're trying to wall off and protect their niche. Hope that makes sense. Yeah. And also keep in mind, traditional companies ignored blockchain for a long time. So they are slower. And so their filings are now trying to catch up. Well, they're already being subjected to, we're talking to companies that have been, ours dates back now to September of 2022. There's companies that have been using the technology since middle of 23. So we're having conversations with them about what the next steps look like. And these are companies you guys probably haven't even heard of. I'm not just talking about the back and forth that I had on the timeline a couple of weeks ago. These are like large financial institutions that are utilizing what my company owns. And so, I didn't invent it. Emily and Chris invented it, and because they're brilliant. But that's what's going to happen. So when you see these companies up for sale, it's not about the size of their stable coin. It's about what they own behind the scenes.
So you're obviously much more educated on this topic than I. How much proprietary technology, how many patents would you say that go into a stablecoin? Like, does Circle have a lot of patents that makes their stablecoin unique?
I know Circle has a couple hundred patents.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, and that's not even a lot. I mean, it's a lot, but like you have, I mean, we all know, we talk to James all the time, how many patents Nike was filing to basically wall off the digital wearables, right? We know that. Nike at one point was filing more patents in the world than defense contractors, and defense contractors usually file the most patents besides IBM, right? IBM files the most patents. They file patents every single day. They file so many patents. They have court cases against, not just patent court cases against, they have Supreme Court cases telling them you're not allowed to do this. But in fintech or in the financial tech sector, patents became a new thing for the tech industry and in financials. So young companies, Fireblocks, Circle, they're all doing this. They're doing this because you spend a lot of money to develop your methodologies, and you need to protect that. So that's what's happening. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Appreciate the education. Very helpful. I wonder. So I guess the world's going to have to deal with U.S. patent law as we come more on chain. We also now, breaking news this morning, will shift into tariff conversation once again. If you missed it, I pin it up top. I'll share it on the screen here. Apparently, Trump just came out and is recommending 50% tariff on the European Union. Will begin June 1st. Legendary, please don't hold this against us. The trade war is back. This is the post just came out. It says European Union, which is formed for primary purpose of taking advantage of the United States on trade, has been very difficult to deal with. Their powerful trade barriers, VAT tax, ridiculous corporate penalties, non-monetary trade barriers, monetary manipulation, unfair, blah, 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 led to a trade deficit of more than $250 billion a year, a number which is totally unacceptable. Our discussions with them are going nowhere. Therefore, I'm recommending a straight 50% tariff on European Union starting June 1st. There's no tariff if the product's been used. My first question, let's go back to Joe, and then I'd like to get Legendary to weigh on this from his European perspective.
I just wanted to say a thing really quick on RWAs. Yep. So as long as I don't distract, you guys were talking about RWAs, and the Standard Hotel in LA did a whole RWA thing when they switched owners. The RWAs are classed all as one thing, and I get it because it boosts the numbers and it looks really interesting and cool. Ondo, Pedal, Plume, Mantra, Polygon, everybody dips their toes in it. What they're able to do right now is basically like treasuries, because it's digital money switching over to digital money. It's one for one, and you don't have to answer for the variances, right? When you get into physical assets, whether it's an apartment or it's a painting or it's some other high value asset, you can't do it the way that the space is approaching it, because the thing is that the only reason that an RWA on chain has true value is if you can sell or lose that RWA. You have to be able to claim that RWA with your digital token. Otherwise, it's just a souvenir. Does that make sense? If you can't get the apartment with the RWA, then all you really have is a souvenir, and that's not what RWAs are supposed to be. So until they answer for that, a lot of this is just sort of press. It's just sort of, hey, look, we just did the standard as an RWA. Well, if I took that wallet, I can't go and claim the standard from them, but I should be able to, which is how come the standard way of doing this isn't the proper way to do it, because you obviously shouldn't lose your house because you lost your wallet. Right. So I just wanted to say that, because right now we're working with $5.5 billion in fine art, and we're putting it on chain, and we're actually doing it in a way where the digital will work at the free port to claim the asset, but it's not done in the traditional way we think about NFTs. So I'm done talking. Thanks.
That makes sense. I don't know if you're able to hang out and weigh on in this tariff conversation here in a bit or not, but my first thought is when he says he's recommending 50% tariffs by June 1st, which is 7-8 days away, what has to happen for that to actually go into effect? Do you know, Joe?
I mean, honestly, he has the ability to say you are going to do 50% tariffs and start to collect them at the ports of entry.
So his recommendation, he could simply sign an executive order in the next week and it just goes into effect. There's no.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's interesting is that technically he shouldn't be allowed to do that because Congress has the ability to overturn that. Just Congress has been sitting on their hands and they don't seem to want to do the job that they were elected to do. So because we're living in a constitutional crisis, which is really what it is, if you're literally sending people to Africa who have deportation orders to Asia, you're in a constitutional crisis, especially when the Supreme Court says you can't do it and you just go, I'm going to do it anyways. So if this is the new way that we're doing things, then yes, by all means, he can say 50% tariff and it starts in 5 days.
It seems like it was last week. It was, I don't know, I guess a month and a half ago. I wasn't overly concerned about Liberation Day. I thought it was all part of the, just they were negotiating and things would change very quickly and ended up playing out okay. This one feels different. This one feels weird. I don't know why. I can't explain. My thoughts aren't coming to me well formed yet, but this one
it could be because you saw how the last one worked out and it didn't. And so if this one, I mean, you understand what I'm saying? Like once you've been bit by a spider or a mosquito, you're very well aware of the next time something's fluttering at your ankles.
Legendary, what's your gut? Do you think this actually goes into effect June 1st, or do you think it's just a negotiating song and dance here? How are you feeling?
I think the timing is pretty good for it to be a negotiating song and dance, given the fact that today at 3 p.m. GMT, which is in 1 hour and 53 minutes from now, the EU Trade Commissioner will have a call with the U.S. Trade Representative. The EU is refusing to comment on any of the posts by Donald Trump until this call is done and finished. And I think they're also meeting early June, US and European trade representatives in Paris. So timing-wise, it is a pretty nice time to be a bit more threatening, and that very much fits Trump's negotiation tactics. Now, if it goes into effect or not, I guess we'll see. But it's definitely a lovely little dip that I am not afraid of for the time being.
Yeah, markets, little sell-off. Looks like Bitcoin down 3% on the day. Like you, I'm not concerned. ETH down to 25.46, down 4% on the day. Like the price action, the short term doesn't concern me. I think it bounces back. Where I would get concerned is if it ends up being not more than it makes me feel a lot better. There's a meeting in an hour or so. Like that makes kind of like fits his MO my perception anyways, how I feel. It's like, okay, he's firing the shot from the cannon before they get into the meeting to say, hey, these better be a productive meeting. Let's say the scenario plays out where we have 50% tariffs on the EU for 6 months, a year. Like what sort of impact do you think that has? If it actually does go into effect and it's for an extended period of time.
I mean, we've kind of seen it with the US and China playbook, how that escalated a bit and how you had some companies like Ford extending their like employee car price program to get more Ford sales going. Some companies who were saying, yeah, they're going to start to change the supply chain, which is obviously utterly unreasonable to do given how complex it is and how difficult it is to change. It will have some midterm effects if it goes on for a couple of months, because some shipping companies, obviously like Merck, will be affected. You had companies like Apple stocking up massively. They had chartered, I think, a couple of planes to fly in inventory into the States. And some of these things will take a couple of months to see their effects play out. But unless this will escalate into a multi-year thing and is going to be worse than the US-China one, which ultimately wasn't that bad, I don't see it having any long-term effect. But that's also purely speculation based on a single post by Trump on Truth Social.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a wide range from economic meltdown to this will blow over. I'm not like overly concerned. I'm not going to spend the rest of my day thinking about it. I'm embracing this. This is a volatile presidency, and it's probably not going to change.
Can you game theory this though, really quick?
Yeah, go for it.
So just like if you think about it and set aside whether or not it actually happens or not, right? The tactic of doing this only works a couple times. And then
I think this
after a
is why I
while,
feel not
it's
as good
very
as I did.
much like it's
Yeah.
very much like the kid at school who starts to fight and then jumps behind his friends and says, "Hold me back." Right? This is like you bring your troops to the border and you say, "I'm going to attack you unless you do XYZ." They don't do XYZ. You turn the troops around and you march them home. And then the next time you sit down to do negotiations, you do it again. The first time it works. The first time you might get concessions. The second time you might get a few concessions. The third and fourth time, everybody just goes, "This is not a serious person. Fuck them." So, and as far as effects, you can't just throw a bunch of 911s onto a shipping container and get it across the water in 5 days, right? So there are effects, but companies don't plan on the whims of a singular point of failure happening within 6 days of a tweet. So it becomes very difficult to predict because your physical items, most people know a lot of stuff comes from China, and most people don't know what comes from Europe or what the value of that is, but it affects the entire global market. So you are doing this every time you make a tweet, and at some point it loses effect, but it harms yourself because it shocks the market. Now, for the people who knew it's coming, that's great. It's very much like a shitcoin, right? If you don't know who's running the coin, then your exit liquidity. Well, that's how come I'm not in any markets right now like this, because I don't know who's running the markets. They're going to just tweet when they want to, shock the market. I'm going to lose money. They're going to make money, and off they go. So that's my short-term, long-term on that. I'm going to go and do my 5-mile run. Bye.
No, I appreciate you jumping up. Thanks for adding to the combo. I don't know if this was the same announcement, or also I'm seeing now that in addition to the 50% proposed tariffs on the EU, he's also threatening a 25% tariff on Apple devices not made in the U.S. On this news, 10-year crosses over 4.6, and we're seeing a sell-off in the market.
Have you guys ever seen the clip? I forget who it was. Jimmy Fallon, I think, did and Donald Trump wants to have iPhones be made in America. And good news, they're the exact same phone, but instead of Siri, you get Donnie. Hey, Donnie, what's the weather today? Climate change is not real. And like it would just go back down. I was like, that's fucking fantastic. Dude, products are not going to, like, I don't care, man. Like, stop trying to force the manufacturing world to come back to America where we cannot compete with the pricing. It's just going to get pushed onto the fucking consumer over and over. And by the way, when the cat's out of the bag, the prices don't come back down. It's just frustrating, man. Like, it is what it is. Good thing I don't worry about this stuff day to day.
Yeah, I don't either. Although I'm very empathetic to those that are, I can't imagine being an importer or manufacturer during these times. Like, it's just like every other week, every other month, you're dealing with like real mission critical challenges you're gonna have to solve for, whether you're, like you said, loading up 911s or cargo jets full of iPhones. Like, it's just crazy to think, like, I mean, business is challenging to begin with, but when you're dealing with new or potentially new regulations and different cost structures, it's just very, very volatile beyond any sort of market price action. And I'm hopeful that we get out of this phase of this back and forth and this uncertainty. I think that's part of it. Is so I say all this. The markets feel very uncertain. We don't know how tariffs are going to play out. It's kind of mind blowing to me that Bitcoin's still over 100K. No, Legendary. Like, is this like it just can? It's holding. I mean, for all intents and purposes, as strong as we've ever seen. It just hit an all-time high recently. Macro really hasn't changed a whole lot. At least nothing's been finalized since Liberation Day. Like, how much longer do you think the market can hold or remain strong while there's this continued uncertainty regarding tariffs and nation states going back and forth against each other?
I think the market is pretty confused. There's like a lot of things going on. As you said, BTC is holding up pretty strongly. Gold is up again another 2% or almost 2% on the day. And gold did go down over the last 30 days, but it has bounced back from that. Now, the last 30 days, it's only down 8% or so. And typically when, the stocks would start to rally again and where capital is moving into more risk on assets, gold should correct a bit more, but people are still happy to hold gold. People are still happy to buy even more BTC. Yesterday, we've seen a bit more than 900 mil of net inflows into BTC ETFs. So I feel like the market is kind of like all over the place. And at the backdrop of that, you still have the insanely high 10-year yields on US Treasury. So that is also added to the mix. And market is bidding a lot of stuff, is very, very reactive to what Trump says. US stocks are down as well. And I feel like, what is it? Germany, France are now down 3% or so on average after this like tariff announcement. On the other hand, we've seen it play out with China. We've seen those threats before. And I feel like it becomes less and less scary for market participants. Yes, we do react, but we don't react as strongly and in such a panicking way as we did before. Maybe adding to that, the thing to know is that the main stuff that the EU is exporting into the US is pharmaceuticals. That accounts for like almost a third of total European exports into the US, and they have been exempt to the largest degree in the ongoing negotiations, also with the US and China tariff war that we've seen, because it's just not a good look as a president if you will tariff pharmaceuticals and medicine that ultimately Americans need and want to purchase. It's just not going to sit well with anyone. So that might be an added factor to that, but I just feel it's like this roller coaster where the loops get smaller and smaller and smaller. And if it's just the same tariff scare, the market will become a bit less reactive to that. But I think with all those different asset classes being a bit all over the place, market can be a bit confused as to what it is doing and what it wants to buy and what it doesn't want to buy at the moment.
Yeah, I feel it is confused. I feel the same. B Epic says it's never going back to 5 figures, barring crazy macro. I wouldn't say never, but I'm leaning toward that as well. I tend to agree that it is still. I'm kind of surprised that it's holding up as well, despite everything. Gold, to your point, up to another 2% on the day, 26% on the year is wild.
I'm not gonna lie. Anytime I hear the word never, it makes me want to short that shit. Like, don't. How long do we have to? This time's different. This time's different. And don't get me wrong. I know there's fundamentals that are absolutely different right now with the institutional buys. I get it. Never say fucking never. Come on, baby. Like, we've been through this stuff. I mean, it's crazy. But no, so I have to run here soon. I've got to get to an appointment. Before we do, I wanted to get y'all's take because there was a fairly drastic change in one thing Doodles related yesterday. I don't know if you guys have followed it, right? But they were building on base. We're all going down base. Now, dude got dropped on Solana. People are questioning why Solana. Obviously, with liquidity providers, liquidity pools, ease of use, distribution, it makes sense from a token standpoint. But people are like, it doesn't make sense. Rust to EVM for this DreamNet protocol. Launches yesterday at Solana. Accelerate. DreamNet's going live on Solana. I don't know if that means they're not building it on base as well.
That was my assumption. Was there? So
it's my assumption as well.
My first gut was like, this is more of a red flag regarding base than it is anything to do with Solana. That was just my initial reaction, but I have no idea.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I like Sol. I enjoy transacting on Sol. I mean, DreamNet, it's a boom or bust product, right? Like, I think they're gonna have to really go at this thing hard and drive engagement with it. And so we'll see what transpires. I don't really have a take on what I think DreamNet can be. But I will say it just feels weird, the pivot from base to Sol and I don't know what exactly drove that, especially since they have hundreds of thousands of assets on base with all those wearables. What are those? I thought those would be used for something in DreamNet at some point, right? Like, or something. What are those going to be for? And so I think the bifurcation of their ecosystem is growing now. And so it's going to be interesting to see where things go.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna. I'll say this, and I'll stop picking on them for their communication around DreamNet. But it's like, learn more about DreamNet, why we chose Solana in our upcoming hackathon. And I just read this whole thing, and I still don't understand why they chose Solana. I guess they're saying they chose it because due to its AI, build a future of community-driven AI due to its growing financial and AI infrastructure, high-speed throughput, and unparalleled onboarding UX. Okay. $50,000.
I still don't understand. I still don't understand. Is it just building characters through AI agents with the Doodles IP? Because where I thought initially when I read the whole concept, where I thought this could be really powerful if done correctly to be the future of storytelling, is where, especially to have that initial scale, is to go and drive revenue, by the way, some way, somehow, go to these smaller projects that don't have the ability, don't have the funds, don't have the team to animate, to tell stories around their IP, and they can come on to DreamNet and ultimately build out their story on this protocol, right? And maybe that is what it is.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's going to be just Doodles IP. There's certainly going to be Doodles IP on there. I mean, this one, even the hackathon, it says it includes access to 4 DreamNet native agents created by Doodles.
Which those are the Lord of the Files.
I'm assuming so. I'm guessing. I don't know. I'm getting like, I guess the Solana move is one thing. I'm not feeling DreamNet. I just don't know. I'm not trying to take shots at it. I don't know. I should probably hold my thoughts till I know more. I just don't quite yet understand. Like, trying to choose my words properly. We've got a lot of like AI slop on X, right? A lot of just bad agents that were just copy pastas, and they don't really add much value. There's a few decent ones, but most of them are just slop. I've been doing the Lord of the Files. It doesn't seem great. It's just my candid feedback. And I know there's challenges. It's just a demo. It's just a beta test. But like, I don't see that landing. I don't know as if another Virtuals or another Eliza type agent launchpad is it. Legendary, I'm not sure. I don't hear you guys talk Doodles much. Have you been following DreamNet? Are you into Doodles? Do you have an opinion formed yet on DreamNet, or even this move to Solana?
We had Austin on from Doodles to talk a bit about DreamNet, and he shared a bit more about the vision. In terms of the move to Solana, can't really comment on that. My general instinct would always be follow the financial incentive. There might be one that makes this move worthwhile, but that's just me speculating. So as I don't have any clue, I'm just going to stop speculating, basically.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? And you see some sponsors on there. Maybe there was financial reasons, and maybe the tech is like what they're building. It doesn't matter if they're on an EVM chain or building in Rust. Joe, I saw you fly back up with a hand. What are your thoughts on this move to Solana for DreamNet and Doodles?
So I'm not bullish on anybody building on Base.
Why?
So
Can you expand on that? Like, what is your...
Base does a terrible job of supporting anybody who builds over there. Their gas situation sucks ass. They think making these infinitely smaller improvements is what's going to fix what they have going on. I think everybody went over there and built because they thought sorry?
When you say the gas situation sucks ass, do you mean like the people who are building there are paying more for their...
Yeah, you're paying more than you would on a different EVM L2.
Okay.
And on top of that, you're not getting any ecosystem support. And so if you think your support is bad for having a Coinbase account, think what it's like having a Base dApp. Like you can get a DevRel on the phone on any decent chain and have a discussion about what you're doing, what you need, what they can do to support you, what you are willing to do to support them, back and forth. Base is like, it's a gift for you to be here. be happy you're here. And oh, by the way, we might talk to you in a couple months, but we probably won't. And we'll promote this scam product over here because we're not paying attention to any other chain, which they did recently, and which several of us reached out to Jesse and said, bro, you are promoting a scam that just drained people over on Mode, and you have it highlighted on Base. You need to not do that. They don't care. So why would you bring anything over there? If you really think about it, and from when they were on your stage, and I'm just basing it off of what I understood. And then I sent a message to somebody over there and I asked them, is this kind of what you're doing? And you know, they give me the thumbs up. So,
hey Joe, real quick. Sorry, I gotta cut you off because I gotta run to a meeting. But Cap, I appreciate you having me up today. Legendary. It's been a while. Great to see you. Keep that routine going, looking good. And we'll catch up soon, everybody. Be good.
Go enjoy the Botox today, Riggs. Thanks so much.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the appointment I'm headed to right now.
We'll have you back soon. Thanks again.
So
later, man.
So if you think about it like this, right? The back end tech isn't happening on Solana, and it's not happening on Base. That's happening in their ecosystem. So what we're talking about here is basically the connection to and where you write to. And for that, Rust or Rust-based chain or Base, it doesn't matter. As far as the token's already over there. The way I understood it is these agents are going to have tokens themselves, and those tokens are going to be weighted to affect basically the power, the value, whatever of the agents.
That's
if you
it.
build, sorry,
you just unlocked it for me. I think that makes it for what you just said, that it's not just these agents. These agents are going to have tokens.
Right. So you can make the same market making tools for one, for all.
Yeah.
And then you can run those tools, and you can, and because you're supplying the LPs, you're going to be making your fees off the LPs. I'm assuming that they either talk to somebody or they some of them learn tokenomics. So you're going to be generating a revenue stream there. You don't want to have to build multiple market making tools. The trickiest thing about building on Solana is understanding that anything you build on testnet ain't going to work on mainnet, because the two things have absolutely no parallel, unlike every other chain. So that's why most things that you see built on Solana that launch don't work, because most of the people built them in testnet and didn't understand you just got to fucking YOLO it and go build on mainnet. The last point I'll say is VCs are far more bullish on Solana investments than they are on Base investments. So if you're going to shop next year after this thing comes out and you start to get traction, saying you're on Solana opens up a whole bunch of extra money for you. So that's my 2 cents.
I mean, this is maybe I've actually shifted on a spectrum. I'm more bullish DreamNet now after thinking through this. I think it actually is a good move for all the reasons just described.
I'll shit on anybody, Cap, but I actually think it's smart. So
well, and I think it's smart because I really am losing a lot of faith and confidence, conviction in Base. I thought, and I still think they do have a significant competitive advantage in terms of just their embedded customer base and top of funnel and customer acquisition. They're still a really poor job of it. And
I think they're a lot like Yahoo was. Yahoo had a massive competitive advantage, and they fumbled the bag every single time they could. And where's Yahoo now? It's like a part of Verizon.
It's not lost on me either that they coin everything Meta stopped as soon as the Zora TGE, and that like I wasn't a fan of the coin everything. I wasn't a fan of how Jesse was approaching it, and I actually probably would have appreciated it more had they continued those efforts. But as soon as it seems like it was really just a push for that Zora TGE. And it's just like, it just seems like poor form. Like, what are you guys doing over there? You don't need to do this. Like, you're not some startup chain that you need to capture attention this way, or it seems like misstep after misstep. And yeah, it's actually, I was uncertain if this was a good move, but I think it's actually a very positive move for DreamNet.
Can I just say one other thing, and then I'm going to bounce again? If you show the ability over on Solana to run a token, behind the scenes, you're going to get a lot of business. Because what you're doing for yourself, you can replicate for others. Nobody's going to tell everybody who's running your token, because all this stuff is done privately. But once you show the ability to actually do it, and if they do it, if they start doing it better with Doodles, and then they start doing it with whatever happens with the next agent tokens, they're going to get a business that is very lucrative behind the scenes.
They could have nothing really, for all intents and purposes, not much to do with DreamNet rather running tokens. I think I appreciate you talking through it because it's helped me understand better like what a token running on Solana actually means and what's happening behind the scenes. It's probably would be worth having it like bringing you back on to do like a full-blown breakdown of like what really happens on Solana, what really happens on Pump.Fund. There's a lot of, I don't know how you would describe it, but a lot of things behind the scenes. Most of us have no idea how these.
I will tell you that privately, but I am not giving up the proprietary understanding that we have over there, because it is something that almost nobody in this space could probably replicate, because it costs you somewhere between $500 and $1 million the first year to do it. And you have to be able to hire a S-level Google type engineer to make the stuff for you. Now, once you put in that effort and you put in that capital, you can print money, but there is a proprietary advantage to knowing it. So if you ever want to know, just text me and I'll fucking walk you right through it. But to explain it here, it's like explaining the Coca-Cola recipe, you know, like
TLDR there, it's more than meets the eye, and a meme runner is running often because of more reasons than just being a good meme.
It is the entire infrastructure of Solana is set up to do this. And just, it's not understood because chains are assumed to be very similar to each other, regardless of language. And they're just not. And Solana has an advantage that no EVM chain can have. And none of them can get it because you have to do it before you launch it. So I hope that makes sense.
It does and it doesn't. Like you've explained it to me multiple times. I get it. I understand it's different. I can't explain the actual, you know, why it's different or the details behind it. But I trust you that it is different and that there's a reason that we've seen this, that they dominate the degen casino. Ledger, I'm curious, are you tracking with Joe here? Do you're more technical than I. Are you, when we're just high level chains, what's your personal thoughts on where builders should go, whether it's Solana, an L2, an EVM chain? Maybe it's, I'm guessing the answer is different based on what they're actually building, but yeah, any comments, thoughts, or questions for Joe based on what he was, I guess, cryptically describing there?
I think I know where Joe is going with that. I think it still does depend on the project, though. I'm advising a couple of projects, and some of which are in the process of moving around chains. I think ultimately the goal should also be to become chain agnostic. Depends on like how long term of a vision you have when it comes to building, right? Because you can look at Solana and Hype, and I know you can't compare one to another not from a technical perspective, not from a setup, but CT is very tribal, and we still very much love to do that, right? Mm-hmm. And attention is flowing around, is moving around, and ultimately it is impossible to tell which blockchain will be around over the next couple of years and which won't. It's a very high chance that ETH will still be relevant by then. There's a high chance that Solana will still be relevant, but for the L2s, God knows if AVAX will be around 5 years from now or not. God knows if that will be the same case for Base. So ultimately, there is, I think, an interesting line or balance to walk between trying to move around chains when there's a good momentum to do so. Cambria did a fantastic job at that. They started out on Base. They moved on to Blast. They had the Blast season there. They are now on Ronin. So they kind of played that game well. Other projects didn't do that chain hopping too well, or it wasn't received as positively. DGods was seen a bit more critical in the way how they moved around. So I think it still very much depends on the project and the individual set of incentives that you receive. But I think often it also makes sense to try to find a way to be on more than one chain, depending on what you're doing. I know that some chains offer like very exclusive incentives to not do that, but if you are especially within the EVM landscape, it's just impossible to tell who's going to survive over the next couple of years. And I do think there's going to be a massive consolidation. So I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I'm all in and tied up exclusively with a single blockchain for the next 5 years.
I agree. At the same time, though, to I guess straw man or push back lightly is it just to me in my head, I still think like building an EVM compatible chain just seems like very low risk, right?
Yeah.
Like yes, a lot of these chains aren't going to be around, but let's say the L2 I decide to build on, they go away, like to port that over to another L2 or back to mainnet. Like my confidence in ETH being a foregoing concern for the rest of our lives is pretty strong. I do not feel the same about these other chains. I guess is your thought that Solana has also broken into that same realm. Like it's just, they've won. ETH and Solana have won. There's others that the rest of the race is up to be, determined, but they've captured enough attention, mind share, financial value that they've surpassed that threshold of like, oh, they may not make it.
I mean, Solana has now more devs than ETH has in terms of that economic activity. ETH has stood the test of time longer, and I feel like this is still one of the most important metrics. There's still a ton more institutional capital that's trusting ETH more than it's trusting Sol. I think just as a result, just as a matter of the fact that ETH has been around for longer than Sol, I think its chances to survive are longer. It's the same way I look at DeFi protocols. I mean, Aave has crossed $30 billion in TVL, and a big part of that is that it just has been around for such a long time and has managed to do well. So I think the longer you are around, obviously, the longer your chances are to survive, especially in this sector. But I wouldn't say that Solana is at the same level as ETH, purely from the perspective that ETH has been around for even longer than Solana.
Yeah. I know we've kind of jumped all around this morning, hitting on this tariff news, talking this Doodle migration or DreamNet rather, unrelated, but I guess kind of related. The U.S. finally they're going to stop production of the penny, which I know if you're familiar with this, I think it costs them like $80 million a year in losses. They lose $80 million a year to produce the penny, so they're finally saying we don't need the penny anymore. Maybe that's can somehow make that tie into stablecoins and all things moving digital. But is there anything we haven't hit on this morning, Legendary, that was on your radar? Got about 15, 20 minutes yet. And if you got to get out of here, by all means, I appreciate all your time this morning. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and we can wrap a little short. But I want to make sure, is there any headlines we haven't hit on or anything you were hoping we could talk about today?
I mean, on the one hand, we had that situation unfolding yesterday on Sui with the exploit. But the thing, kind of maybe connecting bit back to the chain discussion and to the things that are going on with Hype. Hype obviously having hit all-time high today. It has corrected a bit down, as has the entire market. But and I want to connect that to the other bit of news that we didn't have a chance to speak too much about on our show, which is Backed Finance partnering up with Kraken to have X stocks as a product to make that's more for non-U.S. residents, to make stocks tradable, and how we are moving like more and more stuff on chain. And you said a very important thing, in my opinion. I don't know, like 30 minutes ago or so, you said crypto is becoming more boring. And I do think that this is the future of crypto, and this is the future of mass adoption. Like the more boring and less spectacular it becomes, and the more like it becomes the standard expectation that you can do everything on crypto rails, the more people will start to use that. And that's going to be very interesting to see, because obviously this demand for trading stocks on chain is growing, and there's just a few platforms that offer that. I mean, obviously Backed Finance being one of them, but even their selection of stocks is still very minimal. You have your Coinbase, Tesla, etc., but not a very large spectrum of assets. And I feel like this is still open for grabs in terms of mindshare, like who will be the first actually manage to allow trading stocks in a meaningful way. Robinhood wants a piece of that action as well, and they are using blockchain to capture that market. And that's connecting back to you saying the penny is not going to be not going to have a future. The cost of doing this as a like traditional stockbroker versus doing it on blockchain, there's a massive savings potential that goes into the billions for the larger players. So it does make sense to want to move that stuff on chain.
I have a really ignorant question. How do you or anyone in Europe or outside the US, like if you want to buy Apple stock today, do you have, I mean, are you able to go on E-Trade or any of the Robinhood? Are you able to just, or is there geo gating? Are you, I know this is probably a really ignorant question, but are you like, how do you buy US stocks today if you want to?
Yeah, just go to my brokerage account and just buy the stocks I want to buy. And for us, it actually makes a difference because multiple things. We have capital gains as well. We have capital gains on stocks. And if you are with a local broker, they are going to do the taxes for you and they are going to file, which if you just buy stocks, that's easy. You buy, you sell, you ignore dividends for a bit. You made a profit and you pay your 27.5% capital gains in my case on that. But if you buy ETFs, and ETFs trade all the time to rebalance themselves, basically you are seen as the ultimate beneficiary owner of those stocks, despite them being held in a fund which you only hold a share of. So you have to do a shit ton of math. It's impossible. You can't do that realistically yourself. So you'll always be with a local broker who does taxes for you. And via those brokers, of course, you can also buy American stocks, et cetera, et cetera. The disadvantage for some European jurisdictions when it comes to the derivative stocks, so buying them on chain or buying fractionalized shares, whatever, is that they often are viewed differently from a tax perspective and suddenly become part of income tax. And that, in my case, income tax scales up to 55%. And you don't want to pay double the tax rate for trading the same stock. So that's not in every jurisdiction, that's in some in Europe. And I feel like once we are shifting into a world where it becomes standard to trade everything on chain and everything, that these things won't be treated as derivatives anymore. They will be treated as real stocks. And then it won't make a difference from a tax perspective. The thing that's just easier that's thinking from a like Web3 native perspective is now if obviously I sell some BTC, ETH, or whatever other token, I off-ramp that to fiat, I have it then in my bank account, then I need to send it to the bank account of my brokerage and then buy the stock. Like if I wanted to trade the EU news now and do it from stables to stocks, it would take way too much time. Like the dip is already bought by the time I have that money. But to go back to your question, it's very simple for us to buy US stocks and all stocks globally, really.
What a time to be alive, man. This is like we just forget macro conditions, tariff concerns. Like it really does feel like greatest time in human history to be alive from my perspective. I think it's so, and I'm a tech nerd. We're seeing things change at crazy fast clips. We haven't even really mentioned the AI, the Anthropic announcement yesterday, the Claude announcement. By the way, for those that were tuned in yesterday and heard me call the bunch we're talking about just trading these AI demo days, going on Polymarket and betting on whichever company has the next announcement, knowing that they're going to drop something new and novel. And sure enough, the Anthropic being the top LLM by the end of May went from 5% to 25% after the announcement. So you had a quick 5x had you made that play on Coffee with Captain. I did not. So do what I do, not what I say, or do what I say, not what I do, I guess. But really is just a wild time. And it since like, despite all this tariff stuff, it feels like we are becoming a closer global society. And with blockchain tech being at the core of that, this wasn't really something I foresaw happening when I got so excited about crypto and Web3. Yes, I met a lot of people all across the globe like yourself, but when we talk about things like tokenizing stocks and these stable coins, like I feel like our global economies are really close to just being always on, interconnected, and eliminating a lot of barriers and challenges to transact. And like you said, maybe this is boring. People aren't going to come and get all excited speculating about this stuff, but these foundational layers that have been built, it feels like we're ready for prime time now. I do have one other topic on. You mentioned SWE in passing, that hack yesterday. Kind of surprised how quickly they've rebounded, and maybe there's a conversation there about decentralization versus really still having control. And I don't understand exactly what they did. I know that the foundation, they basically blacklisted the wallet, and so it didn't end up being that huge of an impact. And I say the new news is Claynosaurz actually just announced their mint for Popkins yesterday. That's going to be on SWE. I guess it's just another day in crypto, and nearly $250 million hack isn't, at the end of the day, it's they fixed the things, they went forward, and not that big of a deal. I'm not a decentralization maxi. I actually don't see it as like a negative that these L2s have a little more ability to stop bad actors in their tracks like that. Do you have from a principled standpoint, do you have any one way or another lean on should these chains be able to do what they did and prevent these bad actors from leaving off with their funds? Or do you think code is law and they shouldn't, if it's decentralized, they shouldn't be able to do that stuff?
I think it's important to have both. I think you want to have both, especially if you want to onboard more like institutions, banks. You want to have blockchains where you have more control over, and you definitely also want to have the more decentralized versions. I feel that what is lacking is a transparent view towards which blockchain works which way. I just don't think it's common knowledge how that works. And in SWE's case, you mentioned it, they got the validators to basically have this little toolkit, this little patch going, so that the wallet essentially got blacklisted and wasn't able to sign any transactions any longer. ETH, on the one hand, you can make the argument is the most is more decentralized, not the most decentralized one. On the other hand, with a staked ETH, you then again have some validators who control a lot of the ETH stake going. So I am not a decentralization maxi, I would say, but I think decentralization has its massive place and value, and so have a bit more like centralized system. And I just don't think that CT cares too much about that. I mean, Brett made the wonderful point on our show a bit earlier today. Look at Hyperliquid, hit all-time high today. People are comfortable there having $1 billion position open, and ultimately they had to talk to their validators to fix an Oracle price after some dude had a massively uncomfortable position from Hyperliquid's perspective going on. So I do feel that sometimes we pretend to care about decentralization, but then also when something goes wrong, we want the chains to hold our hands and fix that and recoup the losses that we otherwise were to incur. But again, I think, yes, it is one of the core properties of the core spirit of crypto, and there's always hopefully going to be a time and place for successful large blockchains that value decentralization, but not every blockchain has to be decentralized.
Yeah, I agree. And to your point of just be transparent about it. Just let's it was someone on your show that said the fix or whatever they deployed yesterday was already ready to go. It was they had built the mechanism in play in case something like this ever happened, that they could that's a good thing. It's good that you thought ahead. It's good that you had, you could prevent a major hack like this. If you're going to do that, I don't see the downside in just being upfront and transparent about it and letting people know and use that as a unique selling proposition. You have a little embedded security against protocol risk or platform risk here. If there were to be an exploit or a hacker, I think back to, I can't remember, was it Munchables or one of the things on Blast early? It was, something similar where there was a big exploit and they just said, sorry, we're gonna undo that, and that's you're not gonna leave the chain, or maybe they didn't agree and give him 5%. I don't remember the exact details, but I think it's okay. To your point, it's not decentralized in theory, but not every chain needs to be decentralized. I think we some early on that was a like you said, a key part of this tech. It doesn't have to be that way for everyone, and I think sometimes we lean to some of these changes a little too far into that meme or that narrative, and reality is sell the benefits of not being fully decentralized. Case in point. Real quick before we run out, I do want to get your thoughts on these mechanics of this Claynosaurz mint. Claynosaurz one, I'm a fan of the team. I've followed them for a long time. We've had Cab and Andrew on the show here. I I still do not hold an OG's Clayno. This is one because I am a fan of the team, want to participate. I likely will be minting this one. It's different. They've got some new mechanics here, which I'm appreciating the novel mechanics. I know Final Bossu just did a different reveal. I'm enjoying the experimenting, even if it's just little tweaks and different things. But this minting process, I've got to put up on screen. This is a post from Whale here. Anyone can buy tickets at $200 USD each. They're soul-bound and act as mint tickets for packs. So it's open to the public, $200 each. You're buying a mint ticket, which is soul-bound. Then packs are distributed to those that have those. Minters can reveal one at a time. 3 different types of packs: legendaries, escape, and rat. The differences are the legendaries will have a popkin guaranteed. The escapes will have no popkin in them, other digital rewards, and a rat, which is an exclusive rat, and these are randomly revealed. Claynos holders get an airdrop, and here's the unique part: is if you don't get a popkin, so it's like the pop can be essentially like the grail item in a sense here. You're buying these packs, you're not guaranteed to get one, but if you don't get one, you get a $200 refund and get to keep your other digital reward. So it's a raffle in a sense, but it's almost a free roll to where if you don't get the popkin, you get your money back, plus the other digital stuff. They've got this thing called pity points to make up score on leaderboard, escape cards. It's a little complex. That would be my initial thought or feedback is might be a tad too much. But curious your thoughts on this. We're going to sell you a pack. Some of them are going to have an NFT in it. If you don't get it, you can get a refund. Is it the big deal, or is it just like, oh, this is kind of a a little nice to have, but not really going to change anything? Any thoughts on this upcoming Claynos mint?
I think it's fun. I think it's fun. It's something I would enjoy doing. It's obviously a bit of a gambling element going on with a nice pity strategy as a fallback. I don't have an OG Clayno either, to be honest. That is something I could see myself minting and gambling on or gambling with. But as you said, I don't think it's a massive game changer. There's always going to be new forms of experimenting when it comes to mints, because you clearly can see that NFT volume is on the decline, and you just need to come up with, especially if you have a mint, some fresh mechanisms for people to want to experiment with that and play around and mint out ultimately.
And I know it's different for all these communities. Do you have any thoughts, high level, on these secondary collections? Whether it's diluting the originals, or is it like, are they? I think initially, I'm assuming 2 purposes, right? Bring in some revenue. It's a revenue event. Expand the community. That's where I get stuck on now. And I'm not. Maybe 25,000 is the exact right number. I just don't know as if these secondary mints are actually expanding their communities. I'm sure they are to some degree, right? I'm sure there are new people who are going to enter the ecosystem. You and I might be one if we go mint one of these things. But I don't think it's expanding the communities like they were back in 21, 22 when they were dropping these secondary collections. I'm not going to say I'm anti-secondary collection. And I know, they're perfectly in the right to do one. I'm going to mint this, so I think this is a good move. But I would like to see probably less secondary collections going forward. I feel like it's the same group of people, right? Like, it's no one new's coming in for the most intents and purposes. It's those of us already here, maybe deciding to support another brand, another community, another collection. It seems like 25,000 is a tad on the high side. Any thoughts there?
Not a big fan of secondary collections anymore. I feel like, yes, obviously it works when there's a hype around NFTs as an asset or a specific project. Yes, it's a nice way to generate one-time revenue, but ultimately I don't, and that doesn't mean it won't sell out, but I just don't think that the demand is there to have to manage multiple collections and have secondary collections going. I like the purity of punks, obviously, I know there's like the V ones as well, but the purity of punks, it just becomes too complex, and there might be a point where you want to have a secondary collection, but I feel like many projects did that way too early. You basically had the OG collection just coming out, and then you launch something way, way more massive. I feel like that should have happened way further down, like the brand journey, but obviously do see the need, or at least the wish, to want to raise more capital for not Claynos specifically, but for all projects who did secondary collections.
Yep, agreed. Do you think there's any risk Claynos doesn't sell out? I mean, it's $5 million raise. If they sell 25,000, and I guess probably there's some getting airdrops, so it would be shy of 5 million. But do you think there's any risk they don't sell out all 25,000?
Probably not. I don't. Not with the hype. I mean, yes, we had the hack, but not with us hype that both Sui and Claynosaurz are having right now.
Yeah, I think the same. And any thoughts on their choice of Sui?
That's an interesting one.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I haven't been exploring Sui too much, to be honest. I see a lot of volume. I see a lot of people making a good amount of money there, and it's just I don't have the bandwidth, and I feel like that kind of ties us back to the start of the conversation where we said that this bull cycle feels different, and certainly different to the NFT cycle last time around, where it was still easy to do everything. You had ETH mainnet, and you were minting like 2 to 3 things a day if you wanted to. And yes, there were gas wars, and yes, you were spending a shit ton of money, but you could basically, get the 100% completion accomplishment almost and do everything that's going on. But now that is impossible. You have all of the L2s, you have Solana, you have Sui, you have Hyperliquid, you have so much, you have, by all means, you have Ordinals and Runes and BTC to play around with if you want to do that as well. You have so many ecosystems to explore that it's just impossible to be in all of them. And then you also have so many different topical things going on at the same time. You have memes, you have DeFi yield farming that I just can't fit it in my schedule to be active. Be active on Sui.
Any of them stand out above the other? Like someone's listening in, they're like, I hold some ETH, I hold some Bitcoin. I want to get active. I want to start exploring and experimenting with these ecosystems. Is there any one above another that stands out to you as it's got your attention, or it's worth exploring, whether it's, there might be a future airdrop here, it's just there's anything of all the you just mentioned, anyone stand out above another?
Hype. It's definitely where I moved a lot of money in. Still conscious of my total portfolio size. I mean, we just spoken about risks. We just had this hack going on. So I don't want to be in a position where if things go completely south with hype, that I am, thrown back into the stone age of building up my portfolio. But there's the other opportunities. There is lending going on. There is LPing going on. There's collecting points. There is Hyperunit to deposit native BTC, ETH, etc., etc. So that is definitely my preference right now when it comes to all things farming.
Yeah, I need to do more. I need to move some more funds over and actually get more active. I haven't faded it, but for all intents and purposes, I may as well faded it for far too long. We also have the abstract chat popping off. The abstract meme streets are certainly capturing some attention now. Several tickers. All of you guys can go find your own over there in the abstract chat. A couple of shout outs for Grind though, which is we're big fans of Pawns and all that he's doing in the space. I'll be looking forward to seeing how that one hits and is received coming from a builder in the space. But all that being said, enjoyed the show today. Really appreciate your time. If you're not already following Legendary, I don't know what you're doing. You're missing out. Make sure to click through his account, give him a follow. I also pinned up top was actually a quote tweet from the Martyr Market, or they tagged the Martyr Market in a quote tweet of Legendaries. Go give Martyr Market a follow. I'm sure if you're a regular here, you've heard us talk about the show. Steve and myself both. It's become our daily pregame for Coffee with Captain. Legendary and B-Check and the team over there, they go live at 7 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And it is I said it's where we start our day. And often those conversations, we carry them right over into coffee. But truly enjoyed the conversation today. Greatly appreciate all you do for the space at large. Greatly appreciate all that you put out on Modern Market and your timeline. I thought we might talk a little bit about Cookie today and just the difference in their smart followers compared to Kaido and some of like their mindshare leaders. We don't have to dive Ethan. If you had any initial thoughts on that or anything that we didn't get into, anything that you were hoping to share today, any kind of closing thoughts, if you will.
The Kaido stuff, especially now Kaido and what is it, Snaps with Cookie, that's a fascinating one. I never expected Kaido to blow up that quickly to the extent that basically all big pre-TG protocols are distributing a part of their token via Kaido. A lot of post-TG projects are doing the same. And that just didn't exist to this extent before. And I know it can feel like overwhelming, especially if like maybe a smaller creator and you see all of those things on there. But I feel it created this like new vertical almost of, before something launches, you could explore testnet and do testnet transactions and stuff, which is not for everyone, and which, quite frankly, I don't enjoy doing at all because it's just not real in that sense.
Same.
Now you have this new thing where you can just talk about that and have like the expectation of being rewarded to do so. Obviously, you need to do that in an authentic way because otherwise it's just going to scare away your entire audience. But I am surprised how fast Kaito become like the go-to standard to distribute some of your tokens to get mindshare. And I'm surprised that it took so long for someone to make a strong effort. And I know there's been like Quacks and other platforms to be a competitor to Kaito. I think it's too late in the cycle for Cookie because, again, like all of the big projects are already with Kaito now, and you won't gonna catch up to that advantage that Kaito has already built. But the competition is obviously good because it's going to foster more innovation and feature development faster.
100% agree. I think it's good for us. I think we all win. I think it's maybe best time ever to be a creator in this space, especially if you're a writer. I greatly prefer this sort of activity as opposed to testnet activity in farms. I also feel like, especially now as the tech, Kaito tech, Cookie tech is better than it was. Like the spamming, the engagement, it's actually the rewarding for most. I know you can still get by, but often it's good quality content. I prefer this million. I mean, the reality is my favorite would have been like the original airdrop meta where you just, all you had to do was hold an ape, you're going to get a $10,000 airdrop every month. That was my favorite. It required no effort other than just holding the right assets. Then we went through this, you got to go do Discord calisthenics and all these testnet transactions and 18 things, connect your account, and then you may get an airdrop too. This is like, talk about the stuff that you're looking forward to. So I like it. I too am surprised it took this long to have really viable competition. I actually am not sure if it's too late though, because I think whether it's Cookie or Quacks or maybe one that hasn't even launched yet, I do think there is a big market under the Kaito threshold, right? Like the big chains, the well-funded protocols, they can stroke those 6-figure checks to Kaito and participate there. But I think there's a lot of others that's just out of their range. It's not in their budget. And I think someone's going to come in and fill that gap. And it'll be interesting to follow along. But if anyone is still looking, if you're here and you're putting out content on this timeline, you're doing it wrong if you've not connected your account to Kaito. I'd say the same thing for Snaps now. It's like, it may not be 5 or 6-figure airdrops, but you don't have to do anything different. Yeah, you can focus your efforts and talk about things that are on their leaderboards, but you'd also be like, there could be something that you're passionate about, you're talking about today, and in 6 months they do a deal with one of those platforms, and everyone who's talking about it's getting a huge airdrop. You're going to be kicking yourself if you are a brand ambassador, but you're missing on the airdrop because you didn't connect your account. So that'll be my rant there. If anyone needs any invites or ref links, just let us know. But good show today. Really, really enjoyed the conversation. I guess fitting or not great that your guest appearance lands on a 50% tariff threat for the EU, but hopefully this blows over in a week and we're back to normal. But yeah, man, really appreciate your time today. Anything else you wanted to share in terms of where to find you? Or I don't believe you have a Substack or anything beyond like the modern market stuff, but is there anything that I didn't share that you would like to call attention in terms of like your personal efforts or anything you do in the space?
No, nothing to add to that. You mentioned the X, that's everywhere. I stopped writing my newsletter. I deleted my LinkedIn half a year ago.
Wow. How's that feel?
Good. I just don't want to be there anymore. So nothing to add to that. It's been a lot of fun. I did buy the dip during the show, so nice. I am quite happy the tariffs came, or the tariff threats came in, and I would join a supplement and skincare focused gym. Just putting that out there.
You say you would join a supplement skincare space?
Show. Yeah. If you're gonna do a one that's focused on that, I'm gonna be a part of that for sure.
I need to think how we could put a crypto or Web3 spin on it. Like, it doesn't have to be everything, but I'm not even joking. I'm dead serious. Like, I would be stuff I'm interested. I've talked about doing a sport. I've done some sports shows. Probably going to do more focus and attention to that come fall and football season here in the States. But yeah, the health and skincare thing is maybe not the skincare. That's probably not my forte, but would fit well with the health and fitness side. So yeah, yesterday the show inspired me to go buy a pizzeria. Today, the show might inspire us to start a health and fitness space. So we are building in public here on Coffee with Captain.
Love it.
Awesome. Legendary, thanks again so much. Appreciate you. Looking forward to connecting at a future, hopefully get connected in real life event this year. I'll be tuning into Modern Market on Monday. We'll see you guys at 7 a.m. Eastern throughout the week. And you're always welcome back to join us. This is long overdue. So really appreciate you joining us and thoroughly enjoyed the discussion today.
Thanks again for having me.
Thanks everyone who tuned in. Appreciate all of you, all of the abstractors, the YouTubers, the Xers. Thanks so much for all the support today. Have a wonderful weekend. And as my guy Steve would say, have a wonderful, wonderful day, everyone.
Thanks for tuning into Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin. We hope you enjoyed the show, and remember, nothing we discussed today is financial advice. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.
Welcome to the future.